this. And I now like to introduce my colleague from Sweden, Ann-Katrin Agerbeck, Director of Swedish Media Council, and we will hear something about one topic, living in World of Warcraft.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very honored to be here in Poland. Nice to be in Warsaw. It was also interesting to listen to the figures from Germany. We are making a very similar research in Sweden each second year. And we are not going to present it next week, but in 3 weeks. And the figures look very, very much the same. So I would say that the trends about young people and their media life today is very similar across Europe. I'm not going to talk about any figures at all. I'm going to talk about a qualitative study on the online game World of Warcraft. Oh, I need some technical assistance. I want it to be this one.
This one?
No, to start from the beginning and then.
Okay. No, we can come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. So about a year ago, we published a study in Sweden, a qualitative study on the online game World of Warcraft. And the reason why we initiated this study was that there are a lot of questions, I think, all over Europe and in most families. What are children really getting up to with their computers? Why can't they stop playing so we can eat together as a family? Sorry. And how are they going to be able to cope in school when they have been up playing all night? I think these are questions that most of us can recognize. This is how it looks in World of Warcraft. It's a very beautiful word. It's very attractive. And I will give you some facts about the study. First of all, as I have already mentioned, it's a qualitative, in-depth study. The researchers made interviews with a small group of very heavy users of the online game called WoW. And heavy users in this context is the ones who play more than 3 hours a day. They were about 17 to 19 years old, and they had been playing for many years. 9 were boys and 1 single girl. The researchers really tried to find more girls, but it was really, really hard. And as all the figures show, girls are not so much into online gaming. This report is also including a chapter on previous literature and research into high-frequency computer game playing. So for those of you who want to read about more research, this is a good source. The perspective of this report is the perspective of the user. It's not about how the game is constructed and how the game looks. It is about the attraction that make people use the game. It is not either about how mass media report about games. It is all from the perspective of the gamers. So what did we find out? First of all, online gaming is not to be likened to older forms of media, such as television viewing or earlier computer games or gambling. There is no evidence that you can compare online game with, for example, television viewing. Neither you can compare it with gambling with money. It's a very unique attraction that is built and works on very special grounds. What is it then to be likened to? The researchers found that if you compare it to leisure activities, such as football, teamwork, you are more close to the character of the game. When you play football, you are part of a team, you have a role. It's very important when the game is going on that you are there. And if your mother comes and say, hello, it's time for food, you wouldn't leave the football game because of that. And that's the same with World of Warcraft. You are very important. If you belong to a guild, as the team is called, you are a very important part. And it's a social activity. And when you start playing, it takes a long time. You can't leave in the middle of the game. And I know that when we had a lot of media attention on this research, and we said that it would be, if you as a mother say to your child, come on, it's time for dinner, you have to come now. It would be the same as if the very famous Swedish football player, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and his mother stood there and said, come on, time for food, for dinner. And this was quoted in all the newspapers in Sweden. But I think it's a good way to think about online gaming. There's also an attraction that has to do with social power and group psychology. Because when you are in this group, when you play in your guild, when the fights are going on, you really belong to something. And this is an important part of the attraction, that you belong to something. And many young people today, they really want to do that. It's also group psychology, which means that if friends, online or offline, are playing the same game as you do, you are more motivated to continue. But they could also find that the reasons for those heavy users to stop playing, maybe for a while and maybe for good, was always that someone at their school or in their guild left. So it's very much a communication between friends, and when it ceases, they are not as motivated as before. In a game like WoW, you can also get a status. You are leveling. And the highest level you can reach is level 70, or maybe it's 80 now, because they have made a reconstruction of the game. And people who are not so self-assured, who are not so popular in real life, can be very, very good at playing games, which means that they can get a good self-confidence in the game that they don't have in real life. So that is also an important part of the attraction. This is maybe the result that is most provocative to the producers of the game. The construction of the game gives more credit to time investment than to skills. In many computer games, you can get better and better because you have the skills, you have the right skills. But in World of Warcraft, it has nothing to do with skills. It is all about time investment. And the more time you spend, the more you can construct your avatar, and you can get equipment, you can acquire equipment for your avatar, which means that you get better and better, and you raise level by level, but only by time investment. So when you think about this, you can also see that that is how the game is constructed from the producer. And you must also realize that you pay a fee each month to continue to play. So it's like being a subscriber to something. So the more months you spend, the more money is given to the company that produced it. Another part of the problem about online gaming is how the adult world look upon gaming, I would say that most parents would support their sons if they choose to be football players. That's healthy, that's a teamwork. They go with them to the training. They stand behind when there is a game going on, and they applaud and they are very excited. They learn everything about the rules. But when it comes to online gaming, it's not considered as an acceptable leisure activity. And this is very much the source of the problems in the families. And what we could see when we published this report was that understanding what online gaming is about can also give tools to parents or other adults to start communicating. Maybe a son should not play World of Warcraft every night because it takes a long time to play it. Maybe they should play once or twice a week, like they do with the football training. Because you can't play just 15 minutes. It doesn't function like that. You have to play as long as the fight with the guild is going on. There is also another aspect that very few adults are aware of. When you play an online game, you play it together with people all over the world. So there are different time zones. There can be one player in Moscow, one in Stockholm, and one in New York. And that's a span of 8 hours. And that's why they usually stay up very, very late. They can also play with people who are not at all in the same age as they are. For example, a guy in Sweden who is 13 can play with someone from Warsaw who is 38. And this is very special. There are very, very few activities where people from all over the world and from different ages come together. So the name of this report, Living in World of Warcraft, the thoughts and experiences of 10 young people. It is carried out by Jonas Linderoth. He has a PhD, and Ulrika Bennerstedt, and it was made at the University of Gothenburg in Sweden. It is available in English at our website. We have not been able to print it in English, but you can download it. And if you go to the website www.medieradet.se, you can find it. This is how the website looks, and if you scroll down, you will find a text saying in English, and there you can find a report. So thank you for your attention, and thank you to the interpreters. I hope you could follow. So that's all.
Thank you very much, Ann-Katrin, for this brief look into World of Warcraft. One question: did the newspapers say anything about that the football game lasts 90 minutes and not longer?
No, but as I said, they quoted this because it was a way to understand this teamwork. Mm-hmm. Yes, it takes longer, for sure. I think 4 hours. If you play on a high level, you have to spend maybe 4 hours when you do it. Oh, okay. So it's nothing for every day.
Thank you.